Welcome back to the old-fashioned show. It's the odd couple that you never had in your life, but once you've been here, you realize it's the odd couple that you've always needed. I'm with my main man, Alex Dunlap. What's up, AD?
ATX Big Rich says it's the AA meeting you want to attend. The AA meeting, I love it. All right, so yeah, man, a bunch to get to today. Onwar is gonna have an update on Amari Niblack, the tight end transfer out of Alabama, from what he's hearing from his sources. Spring football only 13 days away. Do we have a whole ton of buy or sell questions we're gonna get through today? I think that at least some of my questions pertain to some of that stuff. Gosh, as I look at them right now, I mean, we have questions from, I want to ask from Onwar how many true journos he believes are on the Texas beat, right? Hey, it's a good question. How many of these guys truly are card carrying journos? I want to ask about a few different things relating to spring football. What would it take for Sark to get on the hot seat after the 2024 season? So very much more.
Oh God,
I don't even know. I don't even know what Omar's going to ask me, but he says he's proud of his.
I'm proud of my questions. I feel like I got some good ones for you, man.
I'm proud of the show today, man. I'm proud of everybody in the chat, man. So good to see you guys. We'll address y'all soon enough. We have to get started right off with the goods. What about Amari Niblack?
What's going on, everybody? Good morning. So, Amari Niblack, as you guys know, is supposed to be the heir apparent to Tavian Sanders. He's supposed to be the guy that takes the reins from JT and carries on. Well, it may happen. It just won't happen right now. So, according to what I've been told, is that Amari Niblack has been recovering from an ankle injury and has not currently been participating in the preseason workouts, in the winter conditioning at this moment. Now, the thing you got to always know, Steve Sarkeesian, like many coaches, are going to always take a safe approach to guys like that. So I want to go doom or destruction or anything to that effect, but he's not participating. So what I don't know at the moment. It's interesting, Alex, right? Because Sark is an interesting person. You listen to all his press conferences. When you report about injuries, he's like, "Hey guys, you guys can ask me about injuries. Like, I don't understand why you guys don't ask me." And then when you ask him about injuries, he's like, "I don't have to tell you that, right?"
And not only that, Onwar, but it's also it's not that he doesn't tell you, or he just comes right out and says it. Half the time he'll just lie. Like half the time he'll just say stuff like, it's not. He'll say that somebody's day to day when he knows very well that they're not day to day. He'll say, when somebody's day to day, they're week to week. When Sark says somebody's week to week, it's like they're going to be out probably 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that, right? So, yeah, he's not a very truthful guy with injuries, and you know what? I think that's fine and good. I think if I had to choose the way that I would want my coach to be, if I was a fan, I want a coach like Sark that's not going to give up any kind of competitive advantages, right, in season. You wonder why.
You remember someone asked, I think it was Jim Vertuno had asked him from AP.
A true card-carrying journo?
I mean, we'll get to the question. Question. Yeah,
right.
Jim is.
I'm very curious about this. How many true journos? Okay.
After it was 2 seasons ago, and we eventually learned about Xavier Worthy and how he's playing with the fracture in the hand. Jim said, "Hey, well, why didn't you tell us this information?" And Sark was like, "Because I don't have to." And it's like, well, he ain't telling no lies there. But he's not, to your point, he's not going to give up a competitive advantage. So even I remember asking him about injuries. I want to say if there was the second signing day, I was like, "Hey, is there any injuries that prevent some guys from starting with winter conditioning?" And it's like, "Yeah, I'm not going to tell you that information." But I do know Niblack is not participating. Obviously, you don't sound the alarm bell, right? You don't hit the panic button in March over a guy who's having an ankle injury. You worry about those things when you get to training camp. And so right now you don't have that. But all they're doing right now is conditioning. They're running, they're lifting, they're doing some install. So they've been working on install, and they've been doing that. They'll hit the ground running, like you said, in about 13 days. But there's still plenty of quote unquote catch up time for him.
Yeah, but I mean, you say you worry about when it comes to fall camp. I think that the spring ball stuff is kind of important for Niblack, right?
Yeah.
Especially if considering the fact that whenever he was at Alabama, Alabama they don't use a tight end like Texas has used tight ends, right? They have a fullback that plays that sort of H-back sniffer kind of role, right? That role where they're offset off the, they're offset to where their heads are like either right on the tackle's hip, or they're right behind the tackle, or they're lined up as an H-back, true fullback looking guy. And they don't do that at Alabama with their tight ends. Amari Niblack actually never played like that. He was never aligned like that there. And with he was either attached to the line of scrimmage, or he was split out wide as a big, like we saw versus Jahdae Barron this last year in the Alabama game, right? We saw that he was aligned as a slot wide receiver. Now, if he plays like that at Texas, that's all well and good, and I'm sure that he'll play a ton like that. But looking at the tight end usage from last year, it's just, if you're looking at a guy that's going to be taking over for JT Sanders, and I think the thumbnail on this that Tyler made was like the next JT Sanders. Well, if he is the next JT Sanders, look at his usage last year in the deep dig. So it was 21% of his snaps were in line, so attached to the line of scrimmage in a traditional tight end role, right? He was only split out 20% of the time. And he was at H-back 59% of the time. So this is a 60-40 split, between basically 60-20-20 split, right? Between the 60 is at H-back, 20 is lined up outside, 20 is lined up in inline spot, right? Whereas Gunnar Helm, who's coming back, was a completely different sort of role. He was at basically what he was 40% inline. So double the inline of JT Sanders, right? He's viewed as the more traditional inline attached tight end. Basically 10% of the it's not 10. I'm saying it's basically 40, 10, 50, right? With inline split out H-back. Technically it's 31.16, 11.06, and 49.78% respectively. But it's basically 40% inline, 10% split out. 50% of his time he was at H-back. So both of these guys played at least 50% H-back, even though Gunnar Helm played a lot more in line, twice as much in line as Jatavion Sanders. So clearly they're going to see Niblack is taking over the JT role as being the guy who's split out more often. But I just think for him, do you think he'll be back for spring ball? Like, do you get any indication for that?
I haven't got any indication that this is something that's super substantial at this moment. But the thing is, what I don't know, and I got to be careful of, is that I just don't know how much Sark is going to protect the guy. Like, I don't think I'll know that answer, honestly, Alex, until we get out there, as to when we can lay eyes on the guys, really where they're at. So I just know where he's at this moment, but I don't have the total projections on that.
If he's been out all winter for all winter conditioning, that's going to be something to watch, man. That could be something where he might not play. It could be something where they're like, dude, take your mental reps during spring. You've been around the player-led workouts. You understand what we're trying to do here, but we're not going to – they don't like to push this stuff, man. Not in spring. We've seen him be careful with dudes in spring, right? Take him out for precautionary reasons. We've seen all the – every time, dude, we have this stuff where the reports come out. It's like, oh, so-and-so was in a walking boot after practice. We're always having to say, well, that doesn't mean, it means they're being precautious. It means they care about swelling and stuff like that, right? They might still even be able to play in a few days and stuff. But they don't want anybody to get hurt during this spring period under Sark. They just don't. So,
remember, I think it was Brooks had the hernia last year, and I think he missed a portion of spring before he came back.
They kept him out for all of it. That same thing, they kept him out of the Alamo Bowl against for the first time versus Washington, right? That cockamamie deal where they lined up Keelan Robinson as a true.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that again. Let's not do that again. We've all gone through therapy.
People are all happy with Sark now, right? They don't want to think back to those times.
Let me ask you a question, Alex, because you and I we've gone to practices, right? And what's fascinating when you go to practice and we look at those tight end rooms, and I want to stay in the Titans for a second, right? When you look at Juan Davis, you look and say, "Oh my God!" I mean, that guy looks like he could be in the NFL, right? It's the fact he from my eye test, get off the bus test, all beach test. He looks like an absolute beast. Yet I feel like every year we're just waiting for the what's up with Juan Davis kind of conversation. He went into the transfer portal for about like 22 minutes in January. Like he put his name in and they took his name out. It literally was less than 30 minutes. I'm just curious your assessment of Juan Davis, because you can attest, Alex, when you see him in person, he does look like he should be an NFL guy, doesn't he?
Well, yeah. I mean, his physically, Juan Davis looks awesome. And I think I remember, man, whenever I first saw Juan Davis, it was at one of these camps. I was having to help Jason out whenever he was out there in front of the Moncrief, having to stalk young boys, young teenage boys.
Why do you keep saying that about
he was out there. He was out there trying to get young teenage boys' phone numbers, and so he asked me to come help.
In his van.
He asked me to come help because for this particular camp there were just way too many teenage boys for him to handle. So but anyway, so I saw Juan Davis at that camp, and I believe, man, I'd have to look back and see, but he was, I think he was being recruited as somebody that maybe is a wide receiver, even. Like he has that kind of athleticism to him. He really filled out, I guess, his senior season in high school. He's been a tight end at Texas the whole time. And yeah, dude, whenever he's had the opportunity to play, and it hadn't been much on field, right? Last year he played 40 total snaps. When did he even play? Let me just see. It's hard for me to believe that he even played 40 snaps, right? Let's see. I'll go back and just look at the skill player participation. So Juan Davis played. So he played 10 snaps versus Rice, no snaps versus Alabama, no snaps versus Wyoming, 5 versus Baylor. So he played in blowouts. 7 versus Kansas, none versus OU. None versus U of H, none versus BYU, none versus Kansas State, none versus TCU, none versus Iowa State, 18 versus Tech. He played in blowouts. Mm-hmm. He played 4.85% of the snaps. Can you believe that Malik Agbo played 3 times as many snaps as Juan Davis last year?
That's no. Wait. What's the snaps? Give me Malik's versus Juan.
Malik Agbo.
Yeah.
So he played 110. He played 110 snaps, 13.33%, and he played it. Malik Agbo played a snap at tight end in every single game last year, except for Iowa State. He did not play versus Iowa State, but he played at least 1 snap. Man, some of these games he was up to like 20 snaps in a game. It's just wild. It's wild to me. But yeah, so Juan Davis, he just hasn't played much. At the beginning of his career, it's because he was always hurt. I think as his career's moved on, it's just been like he's been passed over by dudes like JT Sanders, Gunnar Helm. It'll be interesting to see this year what the deal is, right?
Yeah.
Especially if Amari Niblack's banged up during spring, it's like there's gonna have to be somebody. Juan Davis would figure he would have to figure in.
Yeah, but what about the Spencer Shannon, Will Randall of the world, though? Do you think this gives those guys a little bit more of an opportunity?
Yeah, and they need it. They need it. Yeah. I mean, I thought that clearly Will Randall had what was that in his senior? Was that an ACL his senior year in high school?
Let me look it up, Alex. I don't remember exactly.
I think it was an ACL that was early on in his senior year of high school, and so by the time he got to Texas, it felt to me like he was actually he wasn't out there for spring last year, but he was out there for fall.
Yeah, ACL, correct.
Yeah, and it felt like to me that Spencer Shannon was kind of running ahead of him, but I clearly didn't have very many takeaways from those guys because, dude, like number 48, Patrick Bayouth was running ahead of both those guys, and he was a walk-on. So it's like it didn't feel like either of those dudes had really separated. So yeah, you bring up a good point as far as the tight ends in general. It feels like that it'll be a good opportunity for those young guys to step in and step in and possibly have an opportunity. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But it feels, I think it goes to show us how important Amari Niblack's going to be to this team right next fall. That we're talking, if there's a chance he's not available at spring football. And that's not your reporting, by the way. That's
no.
Yes. That's just Alex putting on his journo hat. Journo Alex and saying, I think this is what might happen. No. I'm just saying, in the case that we don't get to see Amari Niblack, right? And we're here sitting here talking about it, like, okay, well, there's Gunnar Helm, and who, like, we're starting to float out the Juan Davis stuff, and what might we see out of him, or what might we see out of Spencer Shannon and Will Randall. It makes you realize he's going to be a pretty important dude to the team next year.
yeah, right. It's because the scouting report out of him from Bama was pretty damn impressive, right, Alex? As far as what he was able to accomplish over there. Did you watch a lot of his film, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch a lot. I watched 2 or 3 games, and then I saw the Alabama game. You see, dude, he moves incredibly well. He's fast. He moves well. He has good feet. I haven't seen him in any kind of capacity that resembles what JT Sanders or Gunnar Helm did last year, but it's that's fine. He has a lot of experience, like I said, inline and attached, a lot of experience split out, no experience as an H-back. So we're gonna have to see how that goes. That's the only reason why I would be in any way concerned that he can't be in spring ball. With that being said, it's like, what do you really learn at that? What do you really learn? You learn like, hey, this guy's going to block down. It's going to, these guys are all going to block a zone play, right? You're going to run on the backside of the zone play, and there's going to be a big defensive end standing there, and you need to put your helmet in the middle of his chest, and you need to block him to open up the hole for in case the runner's cutback doesn't materialize, right? So it's like, I think it's pretty simple stuff to teach. To me, it's all very my wife always asks me, like, how do you see this stuff with all the linemen blocking and everything? I'm like, well, it's like, to me, it's super easy. So I would think it would be super easy to a guy like him who's been playing football his whole career to pick this stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. He, at the end of the day, he cleared in 24 games. So at the end of the day, he still has more playing experience than anybody else who is in that room. Probably, maybe combined as far as Niblack versus everybody else in the games he's appeared combined. Like, is he 20?
I think Gunnar Helm's played in probably that many games.
Yeah, you're right. You're maybe Gunnar might be. It's close. Let's look at Gunnar real quick. Which, by the way, I won't sleep on him. By the way, I won't sleep on him and his productivity. It's interesting. JT was talking at some point last year during an interview I had with him, and he had said, someone asked him about like Gunnar Helm, and he said, like, he felt like Gunnar Helm could do everything he did. Like, and that, so you wonder, like, is he saying that because it's his boy or his guy in there? He's like, but he was like serious, like, hey, whatever I can do, trust me, Gunnar Helm can do exactly the same thing as far as speed, strength, all the other things. So it was interesting there. Like, it might be the Gunnar Helm show with everybody else seeing that, how they can fit in. And then really it comes down to just a battle between Helm and Black when it's all said and done.
As well, and then, what's funny is when Catch was on the show, I guess on Monday for Overreaction Monday, whenever we were talking about how many NFL players Texas will have next combine, and we started listing them off and stuff, and like the first guy he listed was Gunnar Helm. You know what I mean? So it's like I was just like, well, yeah. I mean, I guess I'd never thought about him as the first guy on the old list, but Catch kind of thinks of him like that, and once he says it, that's something that it's something I can't disagree with.
Yeah, you can't argue against it. It's like it's a thing like, man, I hadn't thought about that, but then you process it and go, well, that doesn't sound crazy. Like that sounds feasible, by the way.
Do you know what's always sounded so crazy to me? That people would overpay for their beef. Look at Texas beef traders. Look right there in front of me. I even made it a lower third so we could keep the chat up. I'm kidding. That's not why I did it. It's because I don't know how to put these things up. But I will say this about Texas beef traders: ranch direct beef, straight from Mason, Texas. I'm heading over to Texas beef traders as soon as we get off the show. I'm heading right over there. I'm going to go see Darren. I'm going to go see Shay. Look, is it going to be too early to go have a beer with those guys? Of course, it's going to be too early to have a beer with those guys, but they're going to ask me because that is what they do there. You come in there, you're like family. It's like the place where everybody knows your name. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com, right there off Loman's Crossing in Lakeway, Texas. No steroids, no inoculations, no vaccinations, pure, clean, fresh beef, delicious beef, cheaper beef than you get at HEB, and you know where it comes from. Mason, Texas, right there in the hill country. They have bovine nutritionists right there on staff that help them with their diet, non-GMO, clean, clean, clean. It's all my family eats, Texas Beef Traders. And look, if you can't get into Lakeway, just call up there, man. Darren and Shay, they'll just bring it to you, okay? TexasBeefTraders.com. Get 10% off. Don't pay exorbitant prices at HEB for meat that might not even come from America. TexasBeefTraders.com. What do you got, Anwar?
I mean, listen, after you pick up that meat, drive to Dallas, buy a house. Because my main man, Eric sells homes DFW. Like, again, Catch told us recently in a meeting, we realized that we have so many people from the Dallas area who are on Orange Bloods. And so that means a lot of you guys are watching from the DFW area. If you're looking for a house, looking to buy or sell, Eric Sells Homes DFW is the main man's got you covered. He's a Longhorn guy, but he's got kids that go to schools all across this state. So don't worry about allegiances. Eric Sells Homes DFW. He's going to make sure you don't get taken advantage of. Springtime, maybe trying to upgrade, maybe trying to downgrade, whatever it is. Eric Sells Homes DFW. Check him out.
Maybe try to downgrade. Who's trying to downgrade their house?
Hey, yeah. Well, you know,
downsize,
oh,
right?
Downsize. Yeah. My bad. Downsize. You don't downgrade. I said, thank you. Down, because you may have some kids about to graduate. It's March. You think to yourself like, hey man, kids are gonna be out the house. I don't need all this house. Kids are moving away. Time to sell this thing and get myself a nice little condo somewhere. I don't have to do any yard work, whatever.
Easier to maintain. Nothing
like that,
Yeah, man, I got that, dude. I feel that. All right, well, speaking of buying or selling, how about we get into the buy or sell questions? What do you say? Do you want to start, or do you?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Yeah. Well, let's also, man, we didn't do it at the beginning. Let's just thank the chat for being here. Right on. We're always so happy to see these guys like the Money Bees, the Chris Bennett's, Robert Jurgens, and other fragrance review. Gosh, there's so many of you guys today. Lamar Harper, Dale Coleman, Brandon Wyckoff, ATX Big. There's like 350 people in chat. We just asked me if you guys could please like the show, subscribe to the channel. We would certainly appreciate that. It goes a super long way, but definitely wanted to say thank you and say thanks to Specs, of course, who provides us our Specs chat line and who has all of the great deals, all the best deals. While I'm out today, I'm going to the Anwar. Here's my route after the show. Okay. Going to the gym, going to Texas Beef Traders.
Okay.
Going to Specs.
Nice.
Back home. It'll be a quick hour 15-minute circuit, and hopefully less because today's back in biceps, and I don't want to spend more than 15 minutes at the gym doing this junk. So maybe I'll be home in an hour. But anyway,
speaking of specs, Alex.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right. So who's first?
I'm gonna go first, Alex. All right. We're gonna do buy or sell.
First, you mean?
I'm gonna ask you first. Okay. So, for buy or sell, for those of you guys who are new, buy or sell is almost like true or false. Alex and I get to ask each other questions. Some of them are on topic, some of them are off topic, but nonetheless, it's usually one of the best times of the week. So here's my first question that will be directed towards Alex. Alex, buy or sell? Jonte Cook will have a better college career than Xavier Worthy.
Better meaning statistically.
Statistically.
Yeah. I mean, let me just look. I kind of think no, because Xavier Worthy had the monster freshman breakout where Jonte just didn't. Now, Xavier was not behind anybody, right?
Yes.
But I want to just look just real. I'm leaning towards a hard sell, but let me just make sure that it's. Let me make sure. I just want.
You didn't go over 1,000 though. It was close. It was close
Yeah,
to
but
1,000. They did go over
on his
1,000.
career. Oh, wait, hold on. Xavier Worthy only had 7 receiving touchdowns at Texas. Can that be right?
I mean, that's a good question. I don't have his stuff memorized, but let me check this out. Hold
So
on.
he went for in the 62 for 981 and no. I'm sorry. I'm looking at rushing attempts. Where's the touchdown lines here?
Okay, he's got 26 receiving touchdowns, Alex.
12, 9, and 5. Okay. I was looking at the wrong column. Like 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, you're looking at rushing attempts. That's where you were. You're right next to it.
Okay. So touchdowns, 20. So okay. 197 for 2750. So 197 for 2755 and 26 touchdowns. Right?
Yes. So you got 197, 2,755 yards, 26 touchdowns.
What is wrong with this site, man?
What are you
Okay,
on?
Regardless.
What are you
I was
on?
trying to look at it on ESPN.
Oh no. That's trash, Alex. Don't do that.
Where do you look? What is your go-to for college?
No. Here we go. I just click on my link here that I just sent you. And just scroll down. Just scroll down a little bit.
Okay, yeah. All right. 197, 2755, 26. Okay. That would mean that I think Jonte will go pro after not this year, but the year after that. So there's no shot. Zero shot. He's not going to have 2 1,500-yard seasons. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
2 1,500-yard, 13 touchdown seasons. I think if he stayed for his senior season, he might have a shot. But even then, it's like, no. If he was in for him to be in position to have a shot coming back as a senior, that would mean he would have to have 2,000-yard, 7, 8-ish touchdown per seasons to put himself in a spot where coming into his senior season that he would be able to say, now I can accumulate in this senior season enough to statistically make me better than Xavier Worthy while I was here. But if he has 2 seasons that put him in position to overtake Worthy statistically, that alone is going to be good enough to put him in the NFL. So no, there's absolutely no chance, right? There's no chance. It's an absolute sell.
He would have to be like Devontae Smith, right? He would have to have that kind of just bonkers kind of year, right? 2 years of just 1,800 yards of just crazy madness, which is kind of hard now because between the guys that are recruiting and between the guys that Sark brings in through the transfer portal, I think we see the formula right now, which is you're going to be really good, but you're going to be a guy, one of my guys, the primary guys, but outside of running back, it doesn't seem like everybody else is going to get that kind of lion's share from an offensive standpoint.
No. All right. I got to get the journo question on, right?
All right, let's do it. All
right. So Alex is buy or sell. There are over 6 true card-carrying journos currently covering the Texas beat. There are over 6 true card-carrying journos.
So true mean like they went to like a journalism school?
I don't know. You're the journo. What does it mean to be a card-carrying journo?
Well, I mean, card-carrying journal usually would mean like you went to journalism school and you studied your profession. Journals are like classically trained musicians, and there's a lot of people who are pop artists, and then there's others who really study, the music class. So, but of that, Vertuno comes to mind.
All right, so we got Vertuno.
Vertuno is number 1 for me. I mean, I think I would imagine all the Statesman guys went.
You could consider yourself one, so that's 2.
Oh, okay, yeah. I mean, I am one. So. Yeah, I would say there is. I mean, the Statesman guys, I'm sure they all went to some sort of J school or some sort of studying of journalism. Do we have? I don't think we have anyone from San Antonio covering this anymore. No one from Houston comes in. Who am I missing? That's a good question because
is Kid Brown a card carrying journo?
Yeah, and then there's Eric Henry. I think he went to journalism school. He's at 24/7. So so there's a question. I think the answer. Okay, let me go. So if I said Vitrino, and if I gave you Bowles, Cedric, Danny Davis, hold on. That's it. Oh, Thomas Jones. I would assume he's has some sort of professional training.
You have to be like an official newspaper, man.
Yeah, right. So I just went through that. I don't think there's any other newspapers that cover it. If I don't include myself, who else asks questions? I don't know about Jeff Howe. I don't know what Jeff Howe considers himself. I guess Chip Brown probably to a certain degree. So I don't know what Chip's back. Yeah, Chip worked at AP, right?
I don't know.
I think Chip. How do you not know this? I'm pretty sure
Chip worked. You journos get together and
why do you say journo? We got to get to the point of why do you call it journos? But the answer is yes. The answer is yes, but it's okay because I think journals sometimes look down. Not myself. I think journals look down on internet people like yourself, and so there's this weird beef back and forth. It doesn't involve me, but I would say the answer is yes. Now, the better question you should have asked me is how many of those are good. And on that note, we'll go ahead.
All right.
I can give you. You didn't ask me if they were good or not. You just asked me if they were. Now, if we get into actually how many were good. Anyway, so let me go to a different one. I got one for you, Alex.
Okay.
Here's a buy or sell for you. Michael Taft is the starting safety. I wanted to say on opening day this season. That's what, but on opening day this season. Michael Taft is a starting safety. Buy or sell?
Sell. There's not a shot. And I love Michael Taft, right? I love Michael Taft. Westlake Chaparral. I think he's awesome. I think he's one of the guys on the team that's like a low-key kind of leader on the team, right? And one of the dudes who is responsible for Arch Manning, like his recruitment and stuff. Like one of the dudes that, seems to be in that kind of clique with him and somebody who hosted him while he was always here and stuff like that. But I just, it's two reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Andrew Makuba and Derek Williams. How do you get around that? How do you get around it? Makuba doesn't come to Texas to sit behind Michael Taft when he has one more season to play, one more season of eligibility. He just doesn't. And can you play Taft over Derek Williams? Derek Williams, who was, who by the end of the year was basically a starter. And they talk. Look, man, this as well as anybody on more. Derek Williams in the college. What was it? I forgot what game. Someone in the chat will know. The game he got suspended. There was a targeting, and he was out for the first half of the game. Do you remember that? And I forget whether that was in the college football playoff, whether that was in the
Washington. That was the Washington game. He was
okay.
It was the targeting happening in the Big 12 championship game, and then he missed the first half of Washington.
Yep. And how these things work with the production meetings that occur with the on-air staff of the television networks.
Yes.
The guys calling the game, and especially coming into a big game like a championship game, a bowl game, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
They're there all week talking with the different coaching staffs about, and they're getting background stuff. And this is all completely off record stuff. Right. And I always thought to myself, gosh, man, if I was a broadcaster, I would make a ton of money in fantasy football and DFS and all that. Because I would know, I'd be like, the game plan is just Davion Sanders, like bet the over on 3.5 receptions. Like, but there's a million things that they know, right? They talk to, they get ready for this game all week, and they have the inside information from the coaches. And that's why sometimes when they say little things, little throwaway lines, I'll sometimes remember them. And I remember the throwaway line, and I forget who was calling that game, whether it was was it McElroy? I think it was McElroy, maybe. Craig McElroy calling that game. What he said is whenever Derek Williams came back into the game, he said, like, that's their best cover safety by far. That's going to be a big shot in the arm getting him back in the second half. All the rest. And it's like, where does he get this? Is he snooping around Texas, like scouting their safeties and deciding who's the best cover? No, that's what the coaching staff told him. So look, I don't. So I just think, look, I love Michael Taft. It's just a tough road to hoe, man, going up against those two particular players. Will he play? I think he's probably going to play. They rotated safeties in like crazy last year.
Yeah,
It was a complete rotation. So yeah, I would say I would have to sell on that one. Before I get to my next, unless do you have anything else to say about Taft? Do you have
No. I think everything you said was great.
Okay, so before we get to the next buy or sell, just a quick reminder to the 420 of you guys here watching the show. If you could please like the show, subscribe to the channel. We would certainly appreciate it, man. Appreciate everybody being here with us as we continue with buy or sell. All right. Alex's buy or sell. Onward. The Texas fan base is more maniacal than either of the NFL fan bases you covered on their beats, and that was the Lions and the Bucks. Those are the two that you've covered, right?
Yes.
Okay, so
it beats, and then I did the NFL overall for Yahoo.
Yeah, but I'm talking about being on a beat. Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
the Texas fan base is more maniacal than either of the NFL fan bases you covered on their beats.
That's the easiest buy that I could ever have.
That's
the easiest. No,
okay.
Alex, I covered a team with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You remember back in the day, you actually had blackouts. Remember that? You remember you'd black out because you didn't sell out enough tickets.
Oh, the tarps.
Yeah. Before they had the tarps, you would know that, maybe not know this because in Dallas you don't ever have that worry. But the team, they literally would black out the games locally if you didn't sell
from the television stations.
Yeah, the television stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so I remember years where that was the story going into the weekend would be. Is Texas is Tampa going to have enough tickets for there to be a blackout or would the blackout to be lifted? And if not, you don't get to watch the game in like a 75-mile radius or 100-mile radius or whatever that thing is. And so no, like the Tampa Bay fan base, little fickle. Team's doing good, great. If not, they're out, man. This is Tampa Bay. We're on the water. They're by the beach. Like, plenty of other things to do. Detroit fan base, very loyal. I was very happy for them this year. It is the payoff for them dealing with a lot of crappy coaches in a crappy system. Like they're really good loyal, but nothing compares to this. This is next level. This is like covering a pro team. It's really like covering a pro team, but more intense, like way more intense. Here's the deal. I never got into a battle with any reporters from different cities. Like I get guys who cover teams that attack me sometimes. I never had like the Packers writer insult me. I never had like a Dolphins writer tell me I'm crap. Like, you have some random guy who I've never heard of, so some website is telling me how I'm an idiot and don't read this guy. I'm like, who the hell are you? Like, yes, it's a totally different world.
Yeah. Okay. No, it's all right. I had no. I figured that maybe those. I figured it would be I thought it'd be a little bit harder because Lions fans have been through some stuff, man. They've been through some stuff. I figured they have to be a little bit crazy and. They're not crazy like this though. Like this is like next level crazy. No.
Like this is. I would give it to examples and stuff like that, but I go around the city and people stop me. They talk to me like they're next level. I go to different cities and I get fan base. I get fans that like literally will talk crap to me, especially the student sections. Like they know who I am and they'll talk crap to me. It's totally different world. So no. But I got a good one for you, though. All right, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
This is what I'm proud of. Okay.
All right.
This is my buy or sell. Trevor Gooseby will start at Texas before Peyton Kirkland.
Do you know why this is tough?
Yeah,
this is a good one. Do you know why this is tough? It's tough because of Brandon Baker. And it's tough because of the fact that Trevor Gooseby, I think, has to play left.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so if the plan at Texas would be okay, let's just lay out the plans and let's think about it. So 2023, so Kirkland redshirted, Gooseby redshirted. Next year, Kelvin Banks leaves. We can take the the context clues that we've gotten from Coach Sark that even though Brandon Baker played exclusively right tackle in high school, that Sark at his introductory press conference, not for the second signing day, but for the big signing day, and he's going down all the players. He said, Brandon Baker, whenever you look at him, what you see is your prototypical, perfect left tackle, right? That's what he said. What do you think that means? I mean, he's been telling that guy that you're the next left tackle after Kelvin Banks leaves.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that there's a kind of an outside shot that Cam Williams is gone after next season. I don't think it's the most likely thing. I think Cam Williams is here for another 2 seasons. I'm not saying that's for sure. If he comes and he's as awesome as I think he's going to be, we could be having this conversation about Cam Williams. Might he leave or might he test the waters, right? But I think the most likely outcome is he's here 2 more seasons. So you get Cam Williams staying on the right side. You get, I think, man, based on my evaluation and based on what we've heard, I think Brandon Baker takes over left tackle, and you can't play Gooseby at guard.
Okay.
So I think that Kirkland, he's so big and stuff. You can maybe see him as having the inside track to possibly take over right after Williams leaves. And by that time, he will have had 3 years of seasoning, which is about what I said. All these large humans, class of 2023, Kirkland, Kojo, Stroh, these types of dudes, I thought they needed 2 to 3 years. I think Gooseby was a guy who might not need as much time because even though he's smaller, he's more technical. But the Brandon Baker puts a little bit of a fly in the ointment with that stuff because I think where they see him is at left, and I think that's where they see Baker too. So it's a good question, much tougher for me to answer than your cockamamie Lions question. So Trevor Gooseby will start at Texas before Peyton Kirkland. And this is not because I love Kirkland, but I just think that the whole Brandon Baker situation makes me have to say sell.
Whew, okay. All right. I wanted to throw a tough one at you.
That's a mind bender, man.
Yeah, it is.
That's a mind bender. All right, here's the next one. Buy or sell. You can name every current member of the Orange Blood staff by first and last name, starting right like now. You have to start now. So do you buy or do you sell that?
I think I can do it.
All right, try it.
All right, Alex Dunlap, Jeff Ketchum, Jason Sukamel, Wes Miller. Is that his last name? Wes Miller, Cody Carpentier, Cody. Is it Banks? Is that his last name? What's the other Cody?
I'm not here to tell you. This is
Sonny Nelson. Taylor. Oh no, I can't. No, Taylor. No, we hired it, and then we got another intern. Nah. So I don't know who these people are.
Yeah,
I tried. I think pretty good. You know what's? Can I? There's Zach. I forget his last name. Nah, I don't know. There was a guy on the staff that Catch has not put me on blast, but there was a guy on the staff that was posting something in our Slack channel, maybe late last year or something like that. And I said, hey, Catch, who is this guy? Who they're posting stuff? Who is this guy? He goes, tells the person's name. I go, really? He goes, he's worked here for the last 3 years. I go, he has? He's worked here for 3 years. I'm like, oh.
It's tough, man. People are saying in the chat that you didn't even mention Travis Gailey and stuff like this.
Travis. There's other guys, man.
I told you it's gonna be tough.
It is tough. All right, hey, I got a fun one for you before I ask you a real serious one. Okay.
All right.
Can I go back to back because on this one?
Yeah.
Because this one's just a lighter one for you. Okay.
Right.
Buy or sell. If you did a crime with Money B, you're confident he wouldn't snitch under interrogation.
I I'd like to think that Money B wouldn't. I'd like to think that Money B's no snitch, but I think I'd have to meet him in person first. I thought I was going to get to meet Money B and beat him in some shuffleboard the one time at the one party. Apparently he showed up, but I didn't get to meet him because I got out of there right after the Q&A and stuff like that. So I gotta say sell. He's saying bye. He's saying bye, but I'm gonna say sell. I gotta meet the guy. I got to meet the guy face to face, man. See him eye to eye. Shake a man's hand before I know if he's going to be a snitch that gets stitches.
All right. There's my real question for you. Buy or sell? Billy Walton III could be a stud after a year in the strength and conditioning program.
Could be a stud? Yeah, sure. So buy. I mean, will he be a stud? I mean, he plays the same. I mean, here's the hard truth. I mean, we're here to talk some hard truths, right? You said it's a hard question. Here's a hard truth. He's going to be playing behind Colin Simmons and Trey Moore.
Mm-hmm.
We even had the talk yesterday about like what's going to happen with Ethan Burke. I mean, they're going to have to move him to the other side. Colton Vasek is still on this roster. Everybody forgets about Colton Vasek.
Yeah,
he's still on the roster. I just wonder if Billy Walton. I mean, could he be a stud after a year in this? Yes. There was a time during last fall practice where he was getting second team reps. You know, I mean, do you remember that? I'm old enough to remember that. Him making Billy Walton making some waves and stuff like that. But dude, it's another one of these things where it's like, man, he's got a tough road to hoe, dude. It's going to be a tough deal to navigate as far as just how he's going to get on the football field, and whether I think his best shot to get on the football field is maybe just to impress, the heck out of everybody in practice and have them force it to where they might have to come up with a sub package for him. That's the good way that guys get on. That's the good way that guys can initially get on the field and work their way into true starter kind of roles. And I think that would be the only way. But certainly, I think that he has a ton of upside. I thought he was awesome coming in. I loved his tape. He South Oak Cliff. Somewhere up there in Dallas. I forgot the exact.
His film was sick. Was sick.
I buy that he could, sell that he will.
Oh, okay. There it is. By the way, everybody's in there. Nearly 500 people watching the show right now. Please hit that like button if you're enjoying some of the content and information that you're hearing from Alex and I, the AA combination that you do need.
All right. I'm going to ask you one that's a tough question too.
All right.
And then I guess we'll probably only have time for a couple more each. So I'll ask you one tough one and one that's a little, oh gosh, I have more than just a couple. So let's just see how many we get. Okay. So here's Barcel. Sark would be on the hot seat. Hot seat, right? The fans are pissed at Sark, right? Hot seat. If Texas somehow only wins 8 games in the 2024 regular season.
I mean, hot seat. So you don't mean like his job is in jeopardy?
I defined, well, no, because I'll define it like I defined it for my hot seat study, where there's at least the hot seat is defined is that there's at least one national columnist or one national writer that puts him on a hot seat list, or there's a public display, or there's a public vote of confidence from an AD, president, board of regents, something like that, to say, no, we're not going to fire him, stuff like this.
Okay, sell on that one. If Texas somehow finished with that kind of record, there was probably a substantial injury that occurred for that and I think that would be the explanation. That I think people would not be happy with it, but I think that to me is the only scenario that I see it happening, right? I don't see Sark as a less than 10 win guy going forward. Like, to me, Sark is his floor every year is 10. Like, that's the floor. Like, I think that's my expectation for him going in, that I look at it and we're checking the box. We're not questioning if Texas is going to the playoffs. We're not questioning, because it's going to be 12 and it's going to expand to 14, right? Not long after that, right? So we understand that Texas is going to probably be in the playoffs every year. We understand under the 14 team model, they're going to have probably put in 3 SEC teams is the proposal. So 3 SEC teams make it in. Texas should be part of that 3 every single year. So when that being said, like, no, I don't see 8 as a scenario. So I totally sell on that. If something like that happened, something bad happened, like, this Quinn and Arch, both of those guys got, COVID and couldn't play for the rest of the year. And, you had to put in, a backup quarterback. That's the only way I see that.
All right, so we're getting up against it, man. So I'm not gonna be able to ask you all these. I'm trying to decide which one. Do you want me to ask you one about barbecue? Do you want me to ask you one about country clubs?
No, ask me a serious one. I think we got 500 people in here, so go ahead.
How about this? Kelvin Banks has a higher NFL upside than Anthony Hill.
Because he's a 300-pound man. And I know I like Anthony Hill, but I go back to the thing that, John Gruden once told me years ago when I covered the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And he said that leading up to the draft, he said that there are not a lot of athletic 300-pound men walking the face of the earth. And when you find one of those guys, you have to draft them. And when you think of life and you think of the 300-pound men that you see walking around, they're usually pretty sloppy. And, and so when you've got a 300-pounder that is quick, that's agile, that's athletic, those guys are at a premium. The other guys who are really athletic, you can find those guys, right? You can absolutely say to yourself, I can get myself a guy that runs a 4.40 who's a wide receiver. I got that. But to find a guy like that, no. So to me, I think he's got the higher upside just because of the nature of the position and what he plays. How about this? I got one for you, all right? Speaking of, you said nobody's thinking about him. I got to buy a sell for you. Colton Vasek will start on special teams this season. Just special teams.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, Anwar, like the reason I do the deep dig and the reason why I do all the work I do, I put in 25 hours a week charting these games alone without even beginning to write about the charting that I do, right? Is because I like to speak from a position of authority about this team and not talk out my butt about stuff. Like I'd be talking out my butt about if I knew what Vasek did on special teams. I don't know what his role is, dude. I don't know what special team is he like. I'm not even sure what special teams he's even on. Like he doesn't seem like a special teamsy kind of guy. What is he? Maybe on punt return?
Maybe.
I don't chart special teams. So it's a bad answer, but I guess I'm gonna have to say sell, and that doesn't come from any that doesn't come from the same kind of background and intel that I have on these dudes regularly. That's just me kind of given an answer. Like I don't think he looks like much of a special teamer. I guess maybe he could play off the edge on punt return, but maybe on the kick block team, stuff like that. But I think he's a dude who you want to have playing on defense. He's not a Jelani McDonald that's going to be running down the field and making big tackles in open space. That's just not his game. He's an edge bender.
Yeah. All right. We still got time for a couple of more here, Alex.
All right. Let's see. One more for you here. Okay. This is the one I have to ask. It's about Catch. He'll buy or sell. He'll really quit fantasy this year. He's really going to quit on his own 20+ year fantasy league this fall.
He's in his emotions. He's in his emotions right now, and he keeps saying it. But at the end of the day, Catch is not going to hand over his league to anybody. Catch is going to wait until 1 or 2 weeks before the season to tell everybody, hey, we're doing the league, we're doing the draft. He's going to be thrown together like it normally is, and then he's going to run it. But Catch is not going to hand over his baby to anyone. So it's a sell. It's a hard sell for me.
So I
easy sell.
Well, so if he comes back, does that mean that you have to come back too?
Nah, I'm done. I'm going out on a high note. How about this for you? All right, because you say you don't speak out of your ass. So how about this? Liana Lafaux, he will have more of an impact this season.
I mean, more of an impact than he did last season.
Yeah.
How much did he even play?
You would know.
He played. I'm asking myself as I'm going to look. So last year he played 43 snaps. Looks like he had 2 assisted tackles, no disruption behind the line of scrimmage, no sacks, no hits, no pressures, no TFLs. no batted passes, no fumble stuff, no run stuffs, no PBUs. No, I mean, he didn't do anything outside of but he did miss one tackle. So then it's actually, if you look at it in the snaps per missed tackle, I know it's too small of a sample size, but he was third on the team, third worst as far as snaps per missed tackle at 43. So Liunga Lafau, he does play the mic, right? We know that Anthony Hill, we've heard from sources close to the team that they view Anthony Hill, they're not going to move him outside the will spot, right? They're not going to have him play Mike linebacker. So, I mean, that's where they were working Benda so much in at the middle linebacker last season. That's why I think it'll be Benda and Hill to start. And then you got to think Blackshire. He's a definition of a downhill thumping middle kind of guy. Mm-hmm. So you got to think, is Benda Blackshire a bigger impediment to Liunga Lafau, a sophomore Liunga Lafau, than Jalen Ford was to a freshman Liunga Lafau? I would say, given those two things, he has a better chance of making some kind of impact. I'm not sure that I'm gonna sell that he has a big impact. I'm gonna buy that he has more of an impact.
Okay, all right, that's fair. I want to sneak in one more. Before we go. Okay, just buy or sell. The Savion Red package is officially dead.
Hey, it's officially dead when Sark makes it officially dead on war. I'm just saying, I got nothing to do with it. I'm hands off, brother. I'm hands off. That's up to Sark, man. You got to ask Sark that question if it's a buy or sell. No, I got nothing, man. I got nothing on that for sure.
You think, especially with all the guys who are, I mean, he's got guys coming in. Like, he's got these good running backs that are coming in. Like,
I'm like Seinfeld in the movie theater gif, man. Like, I'm done. I got no idea about this thing. I'm out. I got no idea. What do you got for the people before we get out of here, brother?
All right. Hey, listen, nearly 500 of you guys, over 500 of you guys who are in here. If you joined us late, go back to the beginning where we talked about Amari Niblack. Just hit that button, just scroll it on back, go back to the beginning. And go ahead and check it out so you can hear everything that we had to say. Basically, as just kind of sum it up, he has not been participating in the winter conditioning workouts. He has an ankle injury that he's recovering from. And so we'll see. Spring football starts in 13 days. So we'll know within 13 days what that looks like for him. But that, we also talked about what that means for a guy like Gunnar Helm, what that means like for all the other guys, Spencer Sanders, Will Randall, Juan Davis. We always talked about those guys. So if you had missed it, go all the way back and we'll do a reset on that. We'll have a little bit more of that conversation as well. 500 of you guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not done so. I appreciate you guys checking us out. Alex, you got anything else you want to say? We close this out.
You got to say something whenever you close it out, man. You get on.
Oh, yeah. Well, my thing is I always try to tell people like live each day like it's your last, because one day it will be. It's Wednesday. That means go out there and enjoy yourself. Don't put anything on hold. Life is short. Life is precious. So do everything you need to do and get it knocked out today.
It's a hump day, man. Go out and go get it. Go out and go win the day. We will see you guys tomorrow for On War. I'm Alex.